Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Hello everyone, this is Tim, and this is going to be the 7th session recap of the Song of Ice and Fire game that I'm playing in. The character Alina, played by Roderick, was headed out with 5 guards to go to convince her brother Almer that he should not engage in any violence towards Marcus and the rest of House Roderick, since Almer had all these troops and these iron claws that had been raised up from criminalhood to soldierhood to support the house by being thrown into a bear pit. They're kind of a rough, bear-themed group of soldiers. So Almer has all these people that are camped out in Wood Tower lands, and Alina was going out to convince him, it's not such a great idea if you come over here and just, have this civil war, this battle of succession with Marcus. She was trying to tell him, he's your older brother. You should submit. And this Sim person, he was like a confidant of the late Lord Edgar Roderick. Sim is a liar. That was what she wanted to try to bring to Almer and try to tell him. So that was her mission. So while they were going, there was a sound in the night, and they were all like, "Whoa, what's that all about?" And Aegon, which is the name of her her animal companion, I think it's a wildcat. I can't remember that. Shadowcat. That's what it is. So Aegon, named after the Mad King, ran off into the woods, trying to find out what was going on. And then there were men being shot with arrows. Those 5 guys that had come with her. And Alina, charged into the battle. She killed one with her axe. She was shot again. There was a person with a spear trying to shove it into her, and she was basically just killing people left and right. And her own soldiers were dying by arrows or sword hits to the body and so forth. And they were all dressed in black. They seemed like they were perhaps bandits, but at the time she wasn't sure. She thought maybe it was just like some undercover sort of violent action being taken by some other house to make it look like bandits. She had a lot of thoughts like that, I'm guessing. So they were being shot and killed, and eventually Aegon ran off and killed one of the archers. The other one ran away, but then Alina jumped in and killed the other one. Aegon then started tearing up the flesh of all the archers that were back there. Yeah. So she said, there was one guy left, one archer left, and she told him to lower the bow now. And then he shot her again. So it didn't work out so well. But they were, like I said, all dressed in blacks and grays. He had dark, oily stuff all over his face, and it was running down from the sweat. He had the same thing on his arms. And then she knocked him out. There was one guy left of her 5 people that had come with her who was raising his hand up to try to, get her to notice him. And, one of their archers was running away at that point. Alina pointed, and Aegon ran after this archer, and she hoped that he was going to kill her, or kill this archer, but I guess that didn't really happen. She heard yelps and cries, and then men approaching. She hid behind a tree, laying on the ground, and then a group of men without torches came up to her, and they all had bows and arrows, and they're all drawn. They all had that black stuff all over their hands and faces. They spotted Alina, and then she ran deeper into the forest, and they followed. So there was a period of time there where she was trying to keep away from them, trying to stay hidden. She had kept hearing their footfalls in the woods. Yeah. And then she realized that she was close to Brander's mother's house, Bache. Now, you might be thinking, okay, wait, how's this working out here? Well, the reason this is all sort of a couple days ago in the storyline. Rohir wasn't able to play for a couple days, so we sort of backed up the timeline, played out through her scenes, and then we went back we kind of did some time jumps, which is kind of cool, where we were doing Alina's stuff and then bouncing to present time. So this is all past time that we're talking about here. So Alina followed a stream to an old mill. She found a house, and then back in the current timeline, Marcus was talking defensive strategy with Turley. He's one of the people who support her house. She told Claudio to. He told Claudio to get to teaching Brander, to teach him how to be a true Iron Claw, since that's what Brander is now, since he survived the bear pit. And Marcus told Claudio to treat Brander like every other Iron Claw. He gets no special treatment. Maybe even be a little bit harder on him, just so that he comes out being a strong. He's going to gain something from it. And then Marcus, after Turley left, talked to Nathan, his brother. And Nathan suggested that if the Iron Claws march on House Roderick, what would be a good setup? What's a good defensive strategy? What's a good offensive strategy? Because Nathan is very good at the game Savas, which is a lot like chess, except you can change up your lineup and do a lot of different things with it. And if we, what would be best if we stayed back? What would be best if we wanted to try to take them out? So Nathan was going through some suggestions. Because Marcus wanted to avoid bloodshed. He did not want to kill all of his men that were currently on the other side. He wanted to sort of bring them into the fold with as little blood shed as possible. Nathan got excited by the more offensive plan, and he didn't really care for the defensive plan, because he thinks that Almer is not going to move from the Wood Tower lands. He thinks it's kind of it's not a good plan. He should go. Marcus should go offensive here. He should defend the honor of his name, House Roderick, and all that. So they set up a moat of spiky pits around their place, just to have some sort of defensive measures, just in case somebody came in to attack. But Nathan doesn't think that that's going to happen. And Marcus did this with incentivizing it through tax cuts. Any townsfolk that came to help would get a tax cut. So, he's being the politician there, definitely. And he gave them 2 days to get it completed. And he said to Turley to get as many townsfolk as they possibly can, and that's how it's going to get done. Nathan suggested using the ships that are at our command to take the soldiers, drop them right off the Wood Tower lands, and surprise them. If Almer is unsure about whether to attack or not, having a bunch of ships that vomit out a bunch of soldiers is going to change his mind, probably, about the effectiveness of Marcus. Is he capable of leading? It might intimidate him as well, and that's a better strategy than sitting back on your coattails and just waiting for your younger brother to come with your soldiers to attack you. At this point, Brander came up from the crypt. He wasn't really sure what he was going to do, who he was, but coming to some sort of conclusion, he said, I don't know who I am. I don't think I am this Brander person, even though I have all these memories and thoughts and visions. But until I figure out who the hell I am going to go with that assumption. I am going to just act as if I am Brander until more evidence comes to the table. So that's sort of his mindset. And I don't know if anybody else picked up on it, but as I'm role-playing Brander now, I don't have him stuttering as much. I don't have his speech with strange pauses. He's a little bit more confident. I'm trying to role-play him as a slightly different person, just to show that there's some stuff going on inside. He's figuring things out. It's sort of like a process to figure out who the hell he is and what he is. He has a different different sort of personality now. I don't know. It's almost like he's coming to the point where he's getting a little bit more sane as well. He's seeing enough of the pieces. It's not just all jumbled mess. He's starting to put them together, so things are starting to be a little bit more organized, and that's what I'm thinking when I'm trying to role play him. But he came up from the crypts, and he came into the main room, and he had Father's bones with him, like all wrapped up, and just set them in the center of the table. And he just sat down and just stared at them. And Nathan was kind of curious why he just didn't leave them in the crypt, but Brander said that he wanted all of his brothers and sisters to see them, because he knows that all of them have had issues with father. This is when Claudio came in and took Brander to the bear pit to practice. That's pretty much the place where the Iron Claws practice and do a bunch of stuff. And there was a rough battle there. Claudio threw his iron claws down and like stick up like this off the top of his hand, and said like come at me, bro. So there was this rough tangle, a lot of wrestling and punching and so forth. At one point, Brander like headbutted Claudio's nose and broke it, and he punched him as hard as he could in the eye. There was a time there when me as the player thought, maybe I should just gouge his eye out, do something horrible like that. But that's where I kind of thought, no, I don't think Brander would do that. That's my chaotic nature coming into things. And I also try to understand that Claudio is trying to teach Brander. So while I wanted Brander to go down fighting, I thought that might be crossing a line. So that's what happened. They fought. Brander put up a good fight. He should have given up probably 2 or 3 times. He was down on the ground. Then he'd like kick out the legs of Claudio, or he headbutted him in the groin I think once. So there's a lot of stuff there that was going on. Claudio kept picking up a weapon and saying, pick up your sword, and Brander just wouldn't do it. He just ran at him, and he got clobbered in the side of the head. And at the very end, Brander just didn't give up. Claudio told him to, and Brander was so out of it, he was just like, just punching in the air like in a completely wrong direction, and then it all faded to black. He got cracked a hit, right in the side of the head again with the sword. So that all went down, and then Brander woke up with the Maester Tessild, being tended to with all of his wounds, and he still had that wound from the bear chewing on his shoulder that in game turns gives you a negative dice penalty. So this is where there's a vision, sort of. Beige, his mother, Brander's mother, was taking care of a man. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused now. This is actually in a couple days previous with Alina. Beige was taking care of another man, and Alina asked, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while. Just sort of a beginning discussions of things. And Beige asked Alina why her father had sent her, and Alina informed her, "No, father's dead. Haven't you heard? Brander is the one that killed him." And Beige sort of was struck hard by that, and she said that she'd take care of Aegon's wounds because he was shot, and eventually Aegon came back to Alina, so she was going to take care of the wounds. But Beige also asked, do you want me to provide a vision for you, something that can help you in the future? And Beige can only have these visions when she has sexual intercourse with a person, or just sexual relations. So I don't think Alina realized that at the time, which was kind of funny, because she offered her a drink, and she started to get drowsy. While she was getting drowsy, Beige was undressing, and yeah, so that was going on. It was kind of funny to see that happen. Beige said that she saw her son Brander in the frozen north, and she didn't realize that he was back yet. Brander hadn't tried to contact her or talk to her until a few days in the future, when they have that scene in the crypt. So that's in the future from this scene. Yeah. So Alina woke up, and Beige gave her, that sleeping potion. And then there was a deep kiss, and while, she basically said, you will have a bright future. You will meet the Prince of Wood Tower this day. Go back to where you saw those torches by the bandits. So she told Alina where to go. So Alina didn't go right to Wood Tower. She went backwards. She went back to where the bandits were. And she was a little fearful that the bandits would still be there, but as it proved, that wasn't the case. They went out into Beige's garden, got some apples, and she kissed Beige goodbye. And she found the Roderick men at the place where the bandits were, and they found the heir of Wood Tower, and they slit his throat. So Marcus's plan of killing the heir came to fruition. they captured him and killed him. He's no longer a threat. He won't be trying to get the the ownership of House Woodtower anymore. They say they sawed off his head and they put it in a bag. Let's see here. Some of the Woodtower men got away, and from this thing, so they know that some people know what's going on. And she told them, since her men-at-arms, her protection had all died, that these new Roderick men should become her escort to go visit Almer. Of the 40 men that he sent, that Marcus sent, only 31 were left. So there was some attrition involved in trying to get this heir and kill him. So in the end, 3 of these men went with Alina, and the other 28 returned to Bearhold to tell Marcus what had happened. And Alina told them to take all of these bandit drinks and water and all this kind of stuff and celebrate back in Bearhold. At this point, Marcus went to see Alessa, and this is back in the present time. She was spinning the necklace that Marcus had given her around her neck. She seemed nervous. Marcus told her about Sim and what he had done, what lies that he had spread, and the lies that he told Almer, because Claudio had told Marcus. He also told about the ships and the possible battle, the plans of dropping off men and attacking, and he's telling her enough truth that he hopes that the truth is covering up his lies, because he's trying to not tell her about what's actually going on in Woodtower as much as he can. He kept telling her that the lands were in danger, that she couldn't yet return to her people. She said that it was awful what Brander and Sim had done, killing Marcus's father. He also told her that her lands are going to look a lot different when she goes home. There's a lot more damage, and things have changed, and some rough steps were needed. And he's trying to prepare her for what she's going to see whenever she does go back home, which I'm kind of curious to see when that's actually going to happen. I wonder if Marcus is going to try to marry her before they go back, but we'll see how that goes. She said, "Tell me you will do all that is best for your house and my people." And she seems to have a very good heart. She's loyal to her subjects, and she just wants the best for both House Roderick and House Woodtower. And it seemed like she basically bought everything that he was saying. She bought all of his lies. He was caressing her hair and hugging her and trying to comfort her, and she seemed to be more relaxed after that. Claudio took Brander out for drinks, and that's when they saw the ditch and the fortifications being made. Amsler gave Brander the heir's head because he figured that Brander would be better to tell Marcus than him. And, Brander just thought, Marcus is going to be very happy. One of his goals, one of his things that he's been trying to achieve has now happened. And in that excitement, with the head, when he got to Marcus's room, because that's where he thought Marcus would be, he pulled the head out of the bag and then kicked in the door and just held out the head, like Clash of Titans style. Here's the head of the heir of Woodtower, But Marcus wasn't there. So he decided, well, the next best place to look probably is Alessa Woodtower's room. And Brander, for whatever reason, at that time, when he just kicked that door in, didn't realize that, this is Alessa's brother. Her brother's head that Brander was holding. And I gave Eudes a big scare, because he's like, because at first he thought it was Alessa's room that I'd kicked in. And he kept running through his mind, all these lies that, he had just got Alessa to buy, and then here's going to be Brander holding up her brother's head, walking in while they're, in the midst of, having sex in her room. So I sort of was asking, what do you think would happen here? It's like, would Brander realize that? And as he was walking down the hallway, I just had Brander realize, it's like, it probably wouldn't be a good idea if Alessa saw her decapitated brother's head in the hands of Brander, who had just killed Lord Edgar of House Roderick. That might be, just a little too much. So, I had Brander put the head back in the bag and knock on the door. Marcus basically said, go away. And then Brander opened up the door and was looking inside. And that was just too much for Marcus. He couldn't handle it. He just came out and, basically shoved him down on the ground and said, go away. And then at this point, Brander, with the head in the bag, just smacked him upside the head with a big slappy, sloppy, blood-soaked bag, right across the face. And, he looked in the bag and he's like, oh, okay, now go away. And that's, you did well, but get the hell out of here. I got some stuff going on back there. So Alessa did not see the decapitated head of her brother. Marcus didn't kill Brander because he ruined all of his plans by holding up the head in the room. But it was a fun little moment in the campaign because everyone was kind of chuckling and laughing about what could possibly happen with this scene. Let's see here. At Wood Tower, the Ironclaws told Alina that Almer was in a very bad mood, that he had realized that things were not going well for him. Belther was talking to Almer, and they were saying, the heir is gone, we don't know where he went. They have no idea that Marcus's House Roderick men had already killed him and taken him hostage. Alina told Belther to take weapons, or Almer told Belther to take Alina's weapons, and she was kind of shocked, like, brother, do you fear me? I'm just here to talk. But she relinquished her weapons, and there was definitely a sort of attitude in Almer's voice, and Alina was getting a little frustrated, I think. But she kept trying to push forth her ideas, the idea that, brother fighting brother is not good. Let's take over the whole island. Marcus will be able to do that for us. Father is dead. Brander did it, not Marcus, and that was a thing that she had to try to beat Sim about. So Sim and her were both fighting, trying to convince Almer what to do. What was truth? What actions he should take? And Alina was trying to say that Sim was playing Almer like a fiddle, that all these lies that he had told were inaccurate, that Sim didn't really see what happened. He was sort of just making it up as he went. He, got the place wrong where the sword went through Father's body. He said the chest, and Alina said no, it was like right in the mouth, right in the head. So eventually, she basically won. It took a while. There was a lot of going back and forth. We used the intrigue system. But it was interesting to see how that worked out, and I think Rohir realized that intrigues are tough. Like they're not very easy sometimes, especially on what your opponent's disposition is towards you. If they dislike you, they have a pretty big buffer against anything you're trying to convince them. So there was a lot of back and forth there. And this is also when Alina told them that Brander was now innocent because of the trial in the bear pit, that the gods had judged him innocent. And that he was now an Ironclaw. So Sim was brought into the room. Let's see here. Basically saying that, their father dying in his own house is one of the worst ways he could possibly die. And he also used this thing where, they sent a woman instead of a man to tell Almer this, that they sent someone that if Almer would kill Alina, it wouldn't be a big deal. And that, I think that kind of pissed off Alina as well. That, Sim kind of viewed her as, something disposable. She's one of the disposable heirs, here, if this doesn't work out, so I wonder if she's starting to think a little bit, sourly about Marcus. Marcus is trying to marry her off, and then sending her out to do this dangerous thing. But I think Alina wanted to. She wanted to mend the house together, to figure out a way that this battle of succession was not going to take place. So Sim was also saying that if Almer returns, that they are going to kill him like they killed Father. And that point, I think, really kind of stuck in Almer's head. He's like, You might be right here. You might not be telling me all the truth, but that thought right there, it just seems like that kind of just sunk into Ulmer's heart. So we'll see how that works out. Alina told Ulmer that he would be Marcus's right-hand man, brother and brother, fighting and trying to take over the whole of Bear Island. That they, together, were going to do amazing things. Let's see here. And then Alina wanted to have Belther run Woodtower, but Belther has a thing for Alina, so he wanted to be close with her. He wanted to be there to protect her, to take care of her. And Prod from the Ironclaws was the one that was going to run the Woodtower lands while they returned. Almser went with Alina back to Woodtower, or back to Bearhold, where the House Roderick is. And she also said that Marcus might be married soon to Alyssa Woodtower. And I think that might have been something that kind of clicked with Ulmer too, like, oh, so my older brother is going to get these lands, he's going to be married to her, and he also is going to be the Lord of House Roderick. So Ulmer is trying to find, I think, that place where he's comfortable being the second in line. He's comfortable being less than what he once was while he was taking care of Woodtower lands. That's when Sim was killed by the Ironclaws. They called him a liar and a cheat, and they just slashed him to shreds with their claws. And Alina was just mortified because she wanted Sim to come back as well. They didn't listen to her. They sort of had their own camaraderie and violence, and Sim's body just laid there, so she was pretty frustrated. So that's when they headed back. So the next time we play, hopefully everybody will be there. The timeline will be, straight, and we'll see what happens. But it was a pretty fun session. I always enjoy finding out these new things and what Sim had done, and our house has avoided, seemingly, having a civil war with each other. So that's it for right now, and I'll talk to you guys later.